Vane, and today I will be teaching you about women empowerment and development. To be short, development is the process of improving the material conditions of people through the diffusion of knowledge and technology. According to the Journal of Economic Literature, both empowerment and development are closely related, as in one direction, development alone can play a major role in driving down inequality between men and women, and in the other direction, empowering women may benefit development. First off, we need to discuss how we measure gender empowerment. This is the Gender Empowerment Measure. It compares the ability of women and men to participate in economic and political decision-making. According to Bridge, a gender development research center in the UK, they describe how the GEM considers gender gaps in political representation, in professional and management positions in the economy, as well as gender gaps in incomes. This is the Gender Development Index. The GDI compares the development between women and the other sexes. According to the UNDP, the GDI measures gender gaps in human development achievements by accounting for disparities between women and men in three basic dimensions of human development: health, knowledge, and living standards, using the same component indicators as in the Human Development Index. This is the Gender Inequality Index. The Gender Inequality Index, according to the UNDP, measures the human development costs of gender inequality. Thus, the higher the Gender Inequality Index value, the more disparities between females and males and the more loss to human development. As you can see in this image, 13.5% of women work in industry, which is the secondary economic sector. Before we continue to look at women in the global workforce, I thought I should explain what economic sectors are. Economic sectors are large groups of the economy grouped according to their place in the production chain by their kind of work. The primary sector is classified as the sector which produces the raw materials for industry, i.e., agriculture, fishing, mining, etc. The secondary sector is the portion of an economy that includes light and heavy industrial manufacturers of finished goods and products from raw materials, i.e., heavy manufacturing, food processing, energy production, etc. The tertiary sector is all service industries, i.e., transport, education, health, etc. There is also a quaternary sector, which is the part of the economy which is knowledge-based. Although this is not shown in the image detailing women in the global workforce, I still thought I should mention it. Okay, now that we know what economic sectors are, let's take a look back at women in the global workforce. As previously mentioned, we can see that 13.5% of women work in industry, which we now know is the secondary economic sector. In addition, you can also see that 25% of women work in agriculture, which is the primary sector. Then, 61.5% of women work in services, which is the tertiary sector. When we are looking at this, you can heavily see how a large percentage of women work jobs which are either in textile industries, or hotel or restaurant staff, or working the fields in agriculture. In relation to women's economic development, it is crucial to mention informal unemployment. In least developed countries, or LDCs, we see the informal sector. This is basically jobs which are not taxed. It could be working in the farm, or street vendors, or taxi drivers. It's important to note if a majority of your population is working in the informal sector, then it is not going to help the economy since they are not being taxed. Obviously, we could not discuss development and empowerment if I did not mention the gender pay gap. The gender pay gap is a very talked about problem, and it seems that it has become increasingly controversial in recent years. In short, the gender pay gap is the average difference between the remuneration for men and women. It is important to note that the pay gap can be seen as unadjusted or adjusted. According to an article by Kathy Gercheek, the unadjusted gap is the overall difference in average pay for men and women. The adjusted pay gap, on the other hand, takes into consideration an employee's age, education level, years of work experience, occupation, industry, location, company, and job title, and the calendar year of the reported salary. This graph shows the adjusted pay gap for numerous different countries, which can then further show us that country's development. Obviously, around the world, it is a huge sign of empowerment when women are able to gain an education. An increase in women literacy has helped make giant strides in the fight for equality. This image shows how women are greatly underrepresented in tertiary fields of study despite having the education for it. It is very common in more developed countries to see women earning higher degrees, but unfortunately the job's still going to men simply because of societal gender roles and expectations. This image showcases the difference between men and women in political power. You can clearly see that women are greatly underrepresented in politics, and this is very dangerous. This creates politics in which women do not have a voice to decide on legislation which affects them just as much as men. When politics are male-dominated, a country then has half of their population with barely any voice in the matter. A sign of development in a country is when the number of men and the number of women in politics are closer in percentages. Another huge indicator for empowerment and development in a country is the safety and security of women. Unfortunately, sexual assault, harassment, and human trafficking are still very prevalent all over the world. As you can see on the map above, there are very few countries where women feel physically secure. Until women can feel physically secure in a country, it does hinder their development and therefore empowerment of women. I hope you learned a little bit more about women empowerment and development. In order to further develop, we all must focus on social, political, and economic issues. Right now, there are so many pressing issues going on in our country and the world, and I think it's so important to be an advocate for social change. If you're passionate by something, you need to speak out about it. I just wanted to take a moment. I know this video was about women empowerment and development, but if you have 10 minutes out of your day, please go to the link below. It's for Black Lives Matter, and it's just so you can sign petitions, you can donate if you have it, and just really research what's going on in our world, because especially the news and everything is showing a very one-sided portrayal of everything, and I think it's so important. If I'm going to advocate for any social change, I need to bring up Black Lives Matter. So if you can, please take 10 minutes and just research, sign petitions, donate if you can, and hopefully one day we'll all be able to get closer and closer to the real definition of equality.